want to grow as a grower? Are you tired of being put to sleep by your educational growcasts? Are you tired of hearing about products you don't fucking want and can't afford? Are you tired of being told how you should grow? Hi, I'm Johnny Apple, and joining me is everyone's favorite amphibian, the Reverend Pirate Frog. Join us as we sift through the bullshit on the internet and try to get better as growers. This is your average grow.
Hey, dude.
Hey, man, what's up?
Not much. I'm very, very excited to introduce one of the, I think, most winningest contest winners with her skills Yag has ever seen. I don't know if that's true, but it does always seem like she has very pretty plants. Hypnogrow, thank you for joining us.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
We're super stoked. I think you won a contest right?
I've won not a YAG contest, but I've won a couple, or like one other, I think.
Oh, there we go. See, I called
it is. I am winningest. You can use
Close
that.
enough.
I'm okay with that title.
Yeah,
yep.
Winningest. I'll give it to you.
Yep.
One time somewhere else counts as Yag's winningest. This is why I'm not in charge.
I mean, like, who could, who's going to return that title? I was like, no, I'll wear that.
Yeah, that would be some bullshit.
Winning.
Like,
I'm going to take that to work. I'm going to be like, I
go.
got a winning title. Y'all didn't listen to me.
I don't think two idiot stoners online call me winningest counts as a very good title, but
hey, you got to wear them if you got them.
That's right. Yag approved. Anywho, I'm super stoked to join you, I'm super stoked to join you, Johnny.
Yes.
Thank you. No, I'm just kidding.
Yep.
It's super late for both of us and we both got high. So this will be an interesting episode. But the reason being is we were so excited to talk to Hypnogrow. I've got a fuck ton of cool questions. But first, Johnny kind of starts us off on a path, gets rid of all the easy stuff up front. So I'll let him get into it.
Well, first of all, Hypnogrow, like, you gotta lead me down the name. Where the heck do you get a name like Hypno?
Actually, I think it was like I was doing a different project that was a hypno thing, and I decided, I just wanted to keep the hypno thing, so I just randomly do art projects that start with hypno. I don't have any better explanation for that, because I'm like, I do like what's that show? That's got Hypnotoad. Like, I do like that show, but that's not where I got it. Yeah.
All right, like hypnosis.
Do you practice hypnosis?
Yeah, like hypnosis. It was like a cross between hypnosis and hypodermic, and so I just really liked the hypno part.
I agree. I like the colors too. Black and green is always
yeah.
So the grow part, what got you into growing?
Describe that. No.
Yeah,
describe what the grow part of Hypnogrow is, please. No, I get where you're going, Johnny. Though I interrupted a great transition, but that was just so fucking funny. Okay, I got the hypno, but the grow.
Yeah, the grow.
Yeah, you're like, okay. So do you just want me to start like how I got into this?
So. This is a cannabis growing podcast. What got you in? What's your relationship with it? What steered you down this path of righteous cannabis consumption?
Well, like I basically I guess I would say like my first run into anything to do with cannabis was like when I was a kid. I was like 7 or 8. And my parents had a rental property, and the people who rented it would always end up growing weed illegally in this little shed. And so I can kind of remember calling the sheriff's department and waiting for them to come down and take the lock off the shed. And then it's then you can get into the house, and the house is always trashed. So that was kind of for a long time, except I was 18, and then I actually smoked weed, and then I was like, oh, okay, this is what the parents were talking about, right? And then I didn't smoke weed until I was in my 30s, right? I was I just wasn't a part of my life, right? Because everybody gets into everything else, right? And how I got to growing weed specifically, if that's what your question is I had a friend who basically grew weed, and he was in a situation where he could never grow enough. He couldn't grow enough weed. And for about a year, this was like probably like 2019 or so, he just constantly was talking to me of like, you could do this. You could help me. I just need, he's in a situation where he needs like 50 pounds, right? And he's 5 pounds short. And he's always 5 pounds short. But to do the deal, you have to have like, you know, a certain amount, because if you don't, they don't want to break stuff down, right? So, you know, we're talking about him dealing with places that are like, you know, he'll go into a place and they'll have like 1,000-pound brick, right, in the building, right? And so, you know, he's a really inspirational person, right? This guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a business. He, you know, he was in prison for like 10 years when he was like a teenager, right? Like he fucked his life when he was going to be a big shit athlete, and he just fucked his life, right, when he was 18. And when he got out, you know, I met him through his wife, and he just had this quality to him that it was like he knew what he wanted when he got out of prison. He wanted a family, he wanted a business, you know, he wasn't going to let his past get in the way of his future. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to help this guy. He's tried to get help before and they fucked him over. And I'm like, you know what, it's good for me, it's good for him. And you know, I was kind of looking at that time in my life of like, you know, who do I want to be? You know, like, who do I want to be for the rest of my life? Right? Like, you set yourself up to be a certain type of person, and then you're like, yeah, but am I happy being this person? And I kind of looked at this guy and I was like, man, what has he got that makes him so successful? Because he's really successful. And it's like, this guy takes risks, but he doesn't take uneducated risks, right? But he's a bigger risk taker. And I was like, you know, someone who would just be real indecisive and him and haw a long time about stuff. And it was like, I decided that like I wanted to be more like the people that I admired. And I admired this guy. And so yeah, I know. I told him, I'm like, listen, dude, I have a black thumb. I don't know why you think I can do this. I've killed every house plant I've ever had. I don't know why you think I can do this. And he was like, it's a weed, it will grow.
It'll
right?
grow,
Like
yeah.
the thing that everybody tells you, and you're like, fuck, really? Okay, I can do this, right? And so I took about 6 months and I just like grew everything in my garden outside I could get my hands on, like fruits, vegetables, flowers, like shrubs, anything I could like get my hands on. I like wanted to figure out like where was it that I was having this disconnection with growing anything, right? Because my whole life, like I come from like an animal husbandry background. Like I used to raise horses when I was a kid. We raised quarter horses, so I have a minor in biology.
Is
Like
that
quarter
exactly what it
horses.
sounds like? Is it really a quarter of a horse?
No, it's not a quarter of a horse, but it's because they can run a quarter of a mile really fast. That's why they're called quarter horses, right?
Scott, if it makes you
I
feel
used to
any
raise
better,
a quarter
I'm
of a
now
horse.
picturing miniature horses, and it's all
I just raised the heads. I didn't want to deal with the rest of the body.
I was like, fuck the rest of this.
Yeah.
Give me the front quarter. It's
Luca
a lot more
Brasi
fun.
sleeps with the
Breeding
fishes.
is a lot more difficult though, but we'll figure it out.
Right, exactly right. So
Well, how awesome. That is
yeah.
a fucking super. Keep going. I'm sorry. I'm
That's
enthralled,
all good.
but
Yeah.
I'm now just want to picture tiny horses. So keep going.
Yeah, little tiny horse heads. So I just learned a lot about growing in general, and I watched like a YouTube channel called Garden Answer, and this lady from like Oregon, and she grew a bunch of stuff, and I was like, okay, you know, I learned a lot from her. And then I started watching YouTube and I like watched, Mr. Canucks and Mr. Grow It, and I read books about it. But it was like really weird to think like I'm gonna grow this plant that I don't even really remember what it looks like. It was really weird, like, because I smoked weed, but it was like it comes in a little bag, like that's different than like the whole plant. Like, so and I feel bad about it in a way, because a lot of people come to this like because they have like this, I guess they come to it from not a money making standpoint, and I feel guilty about it, because that is how I was introduced to this, was like, here's a deal, here's a way to make money. I mean, at the time you're talking like $4,000 a pound. Like, how can you turn this away when it's like, like there's a giant hole that's just gaping, and you can throw as much weed as you possibly can down it. The dispensaries don't care where it comes from. They don't. Your weed is going to the dispensaries, right? So, I felt bad about it, right? After I kind of like
I don't think
started to get into
yeah.
like what the culture's like, because the culture of weed is totally the opposite. You're the
Listen,
devil.
it's not you should not
No,
feel bad
I
about
think-
that. It's not any of our fucking faults. They have demonized this fucking plant from us. They took this fucking plant from us.
They
You
did.
shouldn't feel fucking
I-
guilty about.
Also, I think there's the very important thing. The starting point to not feel bad is that any way that you come to the plant is a decent way, right? Unless you're fucking arresting people and then you switch. That's hypocrisy, and you should be fucking
Right.
shamed.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, if there's a whole, you could look at it as like, oh, if you ever sell the plant and blah, blah. But if you're growing the plant and you're selling it, there's nothing wrong with that. That'd be ludicrous. There's a market, right? There are people
There's
who
always
cannot
been-
grow. It would be insane to expect people to grow and donate everything. While ideal, and that would be heaven for all my friends if no one ever went without. It's unlikely, right?
Right.
Because the real world exists, and you occur a cost when you grow, and you can't just be in the negative to help everybody, unfortunately.
Well, that's why I don't mind doing grow alongs, because I always get what I need in the end, right? Like, so I'm like, I can either smoke the plant or somebody else is going to, so I win. Like, I am the winningest, right?
You don't have to feel bad for spending time with idiots who threw it together, because you're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna get rid of it anyway.
Right. Yeah, but I take, I don't know, it's weird because, so the way that I got around to doing growing was weird, because it was like the guy that was teaching me was like, I call him my mentor, and he really did help me a lot, right? And he gave me the encouragement to do it. But like, he's someone who comes from like, my water's perfect, everything I get is perfect. So like, if anything goes wrong, like, he couldn't really help me, right? Because he was like, just get you some bags of Fox Farms Ocean Forest and get you some Tiger Bloom, and do you know what I mean? So he was like doing
Always worked for
synthetic
me.
and
Yeah,
organics,
exactly.
right? And he's like, it really worked for me. And he's like, my water's perfect right out of the hose, right? So I was like, okay. So after like studying all this stuff, because I thought it was going to be more complicated than like they're trying to tell me, right? Because everybody else has grown this fucking shit but me, right? But this is on me. So January of 2021, I was getting set up, I was getting my seeds together, I had my lights, I had everything, I was like, I'm gonna get the best of the best. So I get like an ROI 680, and I'm like, I'm fucking doing this, dude, right? And I'm so excited. And it's like New Year's Eve. Like on New Year's Eve, I'm like, I'm going to germinate tonight. And so it's going to be like so cool, right? And then I tell my partner this, and he's like, you should probably wait till tomorrow. And I'm like, that's weird. But I kind of thought about it. I'm like, it's late. Might as well do that. And then the power was out for 4 days. Like the next day, right? And so I was like, oh my God, like the beginning of it was like a huge snowstorm, knocked the power out. They had to have people come from another state to fix the power. They didn't get a pole for like 2 weeks, right? And so I was like, I am so glad that I didn't start that first initial thing, because I would have been 4 days in. Who knows what the fuck would have happened, right? But I thought, oh wow, this is a really good good omen that this is gonna go well. You know.
Were you excited that your partner was a psychic, and then were you disappointed that he used his gift to save a plant and not get winning a lotto?
Yeah, like why didn't you use that ability to go get the generator before this happened?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, this was
Maybe
the time.
don't
Thank
plant
you.
that plant, but oh man, what was it
Yeah.
for lunch?
You know, and I'm angry because I'm like, I wanted to start it, you know, I'm being like all sulky about it, and then I'm like, he was fucking right.
Yeah, he's a genius.
So like first off, it told me like right away, listen to other people. You should
it is
just
a
listen
very
to other people.
humbling. Yeah. One of the best things about growing, I personally find, is learning new things, right? It's always super cool trying new things too. But also there's so many subjects that you can get lost in, and there are so many people seemingly that are experts on it. So you can really get fucking like good information just because some dude also decided to get a wild hair up his ass and go on a deep dive, you know. It's a very, very fun thing to do.
It's easy.
I don't know why I interrupted to say that. That was stoned.
No, I think that was yeah, I love deep diving on YouTube or whatever. So it gets you into weird places for sure.
Oh yeah,
but,
that's why Johnny is the way he is.
Because of YouTube. He's got ADHD.
Just because of YouTube. ADHD and fucking YouTube. I'm telling you, man. He knows a lot, and it's all scary.
You're like, how do you know that? I don't know. I just know things.
It seems like I know a lot. It's a little about a lot. So every time I have a conversation with somebody, I start it like super enthralled, and then it's like, hey, man, I'm a fake. I'm a poser. I don't know. I don't know enough.
It's fair. No.
You get
I watched a
hypnotized.
couple YouTube videos.
You get the information you need, and then you're like, awesome. You're just efficient, right? The
No,
army has made you efficient. That's it.
No, my ADD has made me efficient.
That's true.
Super efficient.
That's nature. Blame nature, baby.
It's always nature, man.
Nature's fault.
Nature.
We have never gotten sidetracked on this podcast. Anyhow, yes. So you waited. You had a terrible power outage because your husband's a psychic and wasted his gift, and you finally planted when?
It was like, I don't know, probably like a week or two later, I think. I don't know exactly when, but my first time I tried anything was like January of 2021. And I'm going to tell you, like, I started 2 photos and I think like 3 or 4 autos because I'd watched Mr. Canucks and I was like, fuck, I love the name Ripley's OG. I totally want to grow some shit like that, right? It caught me with the name. Like everything else, I like searched out real far where I was like, oh, I want this for this reason and this for this reason. But like that stuff, I was like, I don't know, like watching him grow the autos, even though I could tell that he was like meh about them, there was something that like just intrigued me about the whole thing. So I was like, I want to try both. And so
is that Ripley's OG? Is that a Robin Hood's?
It's Mephisto.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So basically I got like Skywalker from them, and I got like Quarter Pounder from Canucks, and I got Alien Technology, and I got something called King Tut, which I think is like a fast femme from Prism. But I was like, there was like medical reasons, like medicinal reasons why, because it was like, not only was I gonna like try to just learn how to like grow, I was like, well, these all have like properties that people say that are helpful for them. So I was like, I might as well, you know, check that part out too. And
I appreciate the additional research. That's smart.
Well, I just,
you generally don't get 2 reasons. You usually get someone who goes, "Oh, I like the name. What else?"
Right, exactly. Like I was like Ripley's OG. I need some of that, right? And then I grew it, and I was like, you know, So I mean, like stuff like that.
The name was better.
The name was. I'll be straight up, yeah. And like he kind of said that too, so that's why I didn't buy that one right away, right? So, but in any case, like I'll have to be honest and say, like I vegged my fucking photos for like 6 months. They were fucking monsters. Like I didn't know shit. Like this is how bad it was. Those 8
they were monsters at 6 months, dude. It took me fucking 6 months to get them to be like half of a fucking like,
dude, it was so bad because those 8 bags of Fox Farms that I got, right, like they weren't perfect, and like the guy that I'm learning from is like, his shit's perfect. I don't see why you're having a problem. And I'm like, after about 3 weeks of things like growing, I was like, there's something wrong. Like, I don't know what it is, but there's something going on. And I got a soil meter, like like to test like do a slurry test. And I'm like, it's saying my soil pH is like 4.5, like 5.0. Like they sold me poison, right? Like the pH in the runoff was so fucking low. There's no buffer in it, right? So I'm like, I didn't know that. I didn't know like, oh, you should put some dolomite lime in there because you can't trust those people, right? Like I didn't know that, right? So
Yeah.
I thought it was me, right? I'm like, it's me, I'm doing something wrong. And so like, and everyone's like, you should just start over, right? And I'm like, fuck that, right? Like, because I'm like one of those people who's like, oh no, I'm not starting over, right? So basically, I took everything out. I transplanted everything at like 4 or 5 weeks, the autos, everything. I took it out of soil. I bought Cocadelphia and I fucking did drain to waste. I had my plumber buddy come over and we built like an auto water system. Like, because I was I put them in the Cocadelphia and I'm like, I'm hand watering these like twice a day. But I know like if I flip them this flower, like the photos, like they're going to need to be watered more than that. So my buddy comes over, we build the stuff that pumps the water into the tent, pumps the water out of the tent. Like, so I had it set up to like where they were getting fed 5 times a day. Right. And I really got into it. Like I really got into like doing cocoa, figuring out how it works. And then like my plants got like ginormous. By the time the autos were done, I was like, and the autos were like stunted. They were like a stick with like a bud on them. You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Right. Because people are watching this, like people I respect are like, yeah, I don't really know what you're doing. Like when I switched over to doing cocoa, he was like, I don't know what you're doing. Like he doesn't do cocoa. So like no one, I'm going on like to like, what is it, like I love cocoa or whatever, or those kind of sites that teach you like you go to forums that are from like 2014 and you're trying to glean any little information you can about whatever your specific problem is. Like I can remember just sitting in my basement like sweating it, like I'm like, I'm sweating it, like I don't know what I'm like, don't know what's gonna happen. And then it's like I got over a pound off of like one of the plants. I got 8 ounces off of the other two. So I was like, oh wait, this is easy. Like you just give them everything and they get huge, right? But it's like, no, they weren't good. Like you can make a plant huge. That doesn't mean it's going to be good, So I learned a lot. And I did cocoa for like 2 or 3 grows. And then I had like a bazillion bags of Fox Farm. And I was like, I need to figure out what to do with this. I need to use this. Like this is money that's sitting on the floor and I need to figure out what to do with it. And so I had been, there was just some offhand comment that I think that Mr. Grow It had made on some post somebody made. And he was like, yeah, my Fox Farm is really acidic. I didn't know what was happening. And he's like, just mix it with dolomite and lime and just water through it. Put the correct pH in. Don't look at what's coming out. It'll balance itself out. And I was like, it fucking worked. I was like, that's exactly what I did. And I was like, okay, now I can figure that. So I was like using fabric pots and I was like, okay, I'm growing in totes outside. Like I'm growing tomatoes in totes. I'm growing like squash, pumpkins. I'm growing all sorts of crazy shit, carrots, everything in totes outside because I live somewhat near like a super fund, right? So I don't want to use the soils and stuff that are outside. And so, and even though we've tested all of our soils and all of our water, it's like, I just don't trust it, right? So I figured out, like, I was like, if I use these totes, then it might make my life a little bit easier because I can put multiple plants inside the totes and, kind of like set them and leave them. That was my intention, of course. But the plants really, really like the tote system. They love touching roots. They love to touch their leaves. Like you can just tell, like a stunted plant, it's like they try harder to catch up, I feel. Like when they're surrounded by bigger plants. There's some sort of it's weird. I don't know how to explain it other than just having watched it and being like, if you leave this plant all off by itself, it doesn't grow as well, I feel, as other plants that, because I'm like, look how big my plants are. I'm like, clearly they enjoy sharing the space, you know. And that was just sort of like my takeaway of like why I keep doing totes, even though, you know, I can probably get a lot. I could probably get the same amount, you know, effect in a 2 to 3 gallon container. You know, I mean, it just takes growing the right strains and watering enough. Like, nobody waters enough. People
That's
want to
true.
know why your autos are tiny. You don't water enough. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I know it sounds crazy. I'm like, people say, stick your fingers in, lift the pot. I'm like, no, no. I water on a schedule because plants love automation. They'll love your automation a lot more than they'll
Yep.
love, let's say, you just picking your thing up, because they're like, hey, I like to be watered at Tuesday on, you know, at 2 o'clock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They like that
Consistency is
better.
key, man. It really is. Consistency is
Yeah,
super important. Like,
it's just like with your dog or your cat or whatever. It's like they expect dinner time at a certain time, you know. That's why your
shit.
lights are on a
Yeah.
cycle. You know, but like a lot of people, I see their plants and I'm like, they're just, you know, everyone's afraid to overwater, and I understand that, but you should only have that concern like for a very short period of time before they're not going to be stunted if you overwater them after a certain point. Like after they're flowering, you can't stunt it, right? But I see people like they'll just starve their plants of water because they've been told like don't have consistent wetness in your containers.
Yeah. They worry so very much about overwatering, which is yeah, it is something. I mean, you do definitely have to worry about overwatering when it's this very small plant, but that's just
Yeah.
because it's a small plant, right? Like,
Yep.
fucking don't do anything in excess with a small anything, and I think you're okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if when they're seedlings, it's like people give them too much water, and that's how they drown and they get stunted right away. So it's like okay, starve them a little bit when they're little, and then give them more than you think that is appropriate when they're older. You know, I guess is what I would say. But no, I just noticed that a lot, and you know, people ask me a lot about, you know, hey, what's wrong with my plant here? And it's like, listen, you're not watering correctly, or you have a salt buildup, and it almost doesn't matter like what system they're using. You know what I mean? Like people ask me about autopots all the time, and I'm like, I don't know shit about autopots, but I can tell you, your plant's got a salt problem. You know, like that 40-day period. It's like, yeah, that's people don't think about it. It's like, well, if you're doing it a certain way and you don't give them time to, like synthetically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's whole kinds of issues that you can run into too, like especially if you're doing cocoa and mixing solid salts and doing all that stuff yourself. But one thing that I wanted to touch on about the not watering enough, one thing that blew my mind when I first got a sip was how much water they consume. Like
Yeah,
you cannot hammer that into someone who's hand watering. You're just like, oh shit, like
you can't
I
compete.
could have.
Yeah.
No, you can't. You cannot hand water the amount of water that they need. It's crazy.
No, and that's like when you come from drain to waste, it's kind of like
Mhm.
frog raw, you know, like you're force
Yeah, you're
feeding
forced.
your
Yeah, you're.
plants. And they like it. They do like it. But it's not it's different than like sips, like you're saying, because it's like that's everyone's like, why don't you go to autopots? Why don't you go back to hydro? And I'm like, I had to get out of hydro because I'm on a well system and my pump is like from fucking 50 years ago, and like it's concreted in. Like if that fucking thing loses its prime, like we got to go in and break concrete on the front of the house, right? So I'm like, you know, I don't think that, you know, pushing my water consumption like that is a good idea. You know what I mean? Especially depending on your situation. So, you know, which was really, it bummed me out because I loved doing cocoa. It was fun. It's like a cheat code, you know what I mean? Like, you know, the bud difference, it does have a different smell or different taste, but it's not so big that people are not going to want to smoke it. It's not bad. It's good too, you know? But um I think that all these people that are jumping over to the autopot system and the SIPS systems are going to run into problems in the future because depending on where you live, there's water consumption like limits, there's all sorts of things. And I just feel that like we're heading in this situation where it's like water for all this may not be totally expendable in the future. You know what I mean? And so because those plants do intake a lot more water, I do worry like where are we headed in like preserving things and also being able to keep growing.
Well, as a resident of the desert in Southern California, I can assure you that there will be wars fought over water, but my goddamn plants are going to get some.
You're like paint girl.
I am
like
willing to sacrifice a lot of people for my plants to continue. I'm just kidding. That would be a terrible crime.
Just watch the
like,
news. If you watch the news, they're
water.
blaming it on cannabis growers anyways. All these illegal
it does
pot
happen.
farms set up,
Yeah.
and they're taking all the water, and they're fucking...
It happens in
it is true,
the inland empire, as they call it, which is east of me in more desert, like the actual desert. And they often have issues with they say the farmers stealing water, but who knows? There's a lot of
it's not farmers, like it's actually it's the Chinese.
Oh no, I'm talking about
it's definitely the Chinese.
It is.
If you look at Oklahoma, if you look at California, it's like you see all the mass murders that happen at like pot farms. It's Chinese.
Oh yeah,
and they're not even citizens like of the United States, right?
No,
and it's crazy. And they steal water.
Gnarly.
Like there is a truth to all that, but it's not like the average grower like you or me.
No, and that's the thing is it's the fines are ridiculous for illegal grows in California because it's like non-existent, so they're not going to really. I mean, I think $500 fine or some shit like that, right? So
that's
it's
insane.
not like you're gonna get you're not gonna get like punished severely, right?
Yeah,
so there's a lot of crazy shit like with migrant workers and like illegal aliens being brought in to work as effectively as slave labor on a lot of these pot farms and these fucking places. But yeah, it's like crazy shit. Stuff that I do not know enough or am qualified enough to talk or report on. But yeah, there's all kinds of crazy water fights with illegal pot farms and shit out in the desert. But unfortunately, I think there was just not too long ago, a police shooting where they fucking accidentally shot a guy totally wrongly. But
oh wow,
yeah, so that's a whole nother issue now you've got, because you also have in Southern California, you have the cartels, right?
Yeah,
so you have the cartels, and now you have all these Chinese farms setting up, and it's a whole world of crazy, dude.
It is
all this because they fucking stole a plant from us.
Yeah, isn't it kind of crazy, man? You think about where it stands, like, because I was reading today that the FDA just said today that there was medical properties to cannabis, and you're like, wow, how many people have been arrested and imprisoned and lives ruined because they knew that? And it took, also, I'm not going to go into the whole politics of the thing, but still, like, it's fucking wild, man. This whole system is set up, and it's all for nonsense.
It's all for big business. Yep. They don't give a shit about the little guys. Like in my area, there's not one locally owned dispensary. Like there's not one. They're all like NBA stars and shit. Like I'm like, how is it that's okay, but like mom and pop here has no chance.
Yep. Though, when I think about consuming the top shelf of products, I need the NBA basketball player's opinion on what is the best cannabis, because
right.
I when I played basketball and I smoked a lot of weed, I knew my taste was just those correlated completely. Like, it's just so fucking nonsense, dude. Sorry.
It's just money.
Yeah.
It's like, we're going to write on the back of this or whatever. And, it's cool. They stop by the dispensary and sign shit. Like, that's super cool, dude. But I'm like, what happened to the people that were here growing weed before these guys moved in? They're not even from here. They're from Colorado. Like, it's just, and then like, because I know how they backdoor weed and all this stuff, I'm like, dude, it's such bullshit. The whole thing's bullshit. And it's like the quality, they're going to remediate everything. So it doesn't matter, so they can get it from anywhere as long as it looks like it comes from them. It's like there's, like I said, this bottomless hole, and they don't care. And I'm like, they have this whole front, like, "Oh, we want it to be good for people and healthy for people." And it's like, I don't think they care about that, right? But it's like, me, I cared. It's like, that's why I grow like sour stomper. That's why I grow, I grow a lot of varieties, but like my main stuff is like very specific strains because I have very specific needs, and it's the stuff that that is the best, is the stuff that my clients ask for. Like, they ask for this, like, because the whole, like, I gotta say, like, because the bottom fell out of the black market in a lot of areas, it's like a lot of people just gave up growing, right? But those people who gave up growing, they don't want to grow, but they want quality. They don't want to go to the dispensary.
Yeah.
So they're put in a situation where they have nobody. Nobody provides that. But the thing is like, there's a million home growers that do, right? And so it's like, part of my story, I guess, is like trying to tell people that like don't like the 9 to 5. They don't like that grind, right? There's a ton of people out there that can't follow the normal life. And I'm like, what you need is great friends, because your great friends, they're going to be like I got to say, like the guy, again, who got me into this, he gave me his seeds. He quit growing. He's like, I'm just going to smoke what you grow. And I was like, dude, that gave me a tear to my eye, because I'm like, that guy knows quality. This dude knows people in the industry. And he's like, his wife has epilepsy. I grow for her. Like I grow for people who have like, so it kind of switched from like this kind of black market thing to like my network of friends. And it's like every plant that I have up for availability, it's sold before I germinate the seed, right? Like people, they tell me what they want. And I'm like, they know, they trust me. They see how I grow. I'm totally open. I'm like, this is everything that I do. You can see everything that I do. You can come in here and pick the plant that you want. And it's happened to me several times. Like stuff that I was like, I don't know if anybody's going to want this. And it's like, dude comes by and takes a picture of it every 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
And so
yeah.
You're
to
like
me,
so you do like a medical proxy kind of deal.
yeah. And so it's like, like there's people who have like dissociative or disorders and stuff like that, and very specific strains help them. It'll snap them out of it, or it'll actually help people disassociate from their other traumas or whatever. And so it's like, not every strain can do that. And a lot, like what I like about Sour Stomper, for instance, because it is my favorite, everybody else, but is that it's an immediate strain. Like it gives you immediate relief. You don't have to wait and like fuck around and be like, in your depression or your trauma or whatever. It's like that'll snap people. I've had people who are like, man, I was in a horrible state. I smoked that and it totally snapped me out of it. And I was like, fuck yeah, that's how it's supposed to do, and it's like, people have epilepsy or like, they're less afraid of like, they're less stressed about having a seizure. Like I've had people who are like, I don't really have seizures anymore. And I'm like, wow, that's
incredible.
fucking amazing. I have people who get off Seroquel, right? Because they're like, because they think, oh, you're a crazy person, right? And it's like, oh no, that person had autism, right? Like high functioning autism. You're all fucking them up with your Seroquel. To, give them a little weed, and it's like, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. You know what I mean? Like, but I just think part of it is
Pepsi.
Yeah, I can't wait for my son. My oldest is fucking high functioning autistic, and I cannot fucking wait for him to come of age, man. It's like I really want him to fucking benefit from the use, man.
He will too, because
are you gonna
he really will.
Are you gonna wait 18 legal, or are you going like brain stops growing kind of shit, which is like what, 22?
I'm gonna wait until like it seems right for him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, cause he doesn't show any desire on it of his own. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's good. Let him fucking live his childhood the way he wants right now. I don't want to fucking inflict that on him. But like when he's ready, I want to fucking like. That's what I mean.
Oh fuck yeah!
Yeah,
give him the option of having something that you're like, hey, try this. This might be the answer you're looking for.
Exactly.
Right? Like I found it helps for me.
When he comes looking for fucking help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Because
Yep.
a lot of times, like, people want to force stuff on their autistic kids, you know, and it doesn't help them. It just causes more trauma.
Oh yeah, man. I
can't think of too many things when you force anyone to do anything that have come out positive in this world.
This is my autistic fucking kid, by the way. Like, yeah, you can't force me to do shit. You ain't
Yeah, I was
forcing
gonna
me
say.
to do a fucking.
I was gonna
You
say.
see the struggle, get him to do the fucking dishes. God damn, kid.
I worry for the day that I visit you and everyone in your stubborn household is having a standoff over something, and I just have to sit there and be like, God damn it. It's gone to war.
This is fucking weird. Thanks for having me, bro. This is
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm gonna be in the lounge.
Alexa, turn on smoking fan.
Exactly. As is tradition.
I was just kidding. Alexa, turn off smoking fan.
Before we get too far from it, I do want to say, Hypno, that is a wonderful thing. I'm super stoked. I can't think of a more like honorable thing to mention. Is, you know, growing for anyone's health is always something that should be looked at as a noble pursuit. And even so much as people requesting from the seed is a pretty fucking nifty service, man. I totally like that. If I couldn't grow, I would definitely be wanting a service like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, people love variety, number one. So, like, you know, that's the sort of thing is like, you need to have some variety if you have like multiple people, because, you know, not everything works on everybody. You know, that's why it's
Exactly.
Cannabis is sort of, I guess it's just like, I don't know, opinion. It's like your opinion on it, because it doesn't always work. Like what I like doesn't always work on
Body
somebody
chemistry
else.
is different for everybody, right? Yeah.
A lot of times you get that. A lot of people get, oh no, I haven't touched that since I was a kid, and I got paranoid as shit. It's like, hey man, that's you. Like,
yeah,
I end the conversation right there. It's like, okay, cool. We're not gonna have that. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, you should try it again, man. It'll totally fix your. Nah, man, you've made your choice. Like,
whatever floats your boat, man.
Yeah.
It's,
And some people, they don't react well to, like, I wouldn't say that some people are straight up allergic, but like there are some people that literally like have an allergic type of reaction, and I'm like, oh wow, like you shouldn't smoke.
I've had
I think I do sometimes. Like, I get fucking nasally often, almost like a hay
smoke
fever.
inhalation.
Yeah,
you are
hopefully that's not mold.
Burning, yes.
Like when I start getting hay fever, I'm like, oh god.
In my grow, it is likely mold.
But no, I've had two separate experiences with people who have had negative reactions. One was the dude broke out in like hives and shit, and I was like, okay, this is a fucking trip.
He's
we were
straight
in
up
like
allergic.
fucking high schools. Yeah, he was like straight up allergic. We were in like high school, and so like that was a straight up buzzkill, right? You're just like, oh shit, this dude. And then this one was even worse. The second time, the guy had a panic attack and called the ambulance on himself. That was also a bit of a buzzkill when all the sirens started hitting. And being a good person, we left him and took off running because fuck that noise. But,
you're like, bye.
See ya.
Bye, Bo.
Often in my young life, I found the best solution was adios, motherfuckers, and just running. Which I have always worn sandals, so it's not always been the prettiest. But and I, like I said, was a drunkard for a long time, so a drunk man running in sandals is often a funny thing. But
everybody knew it was you, so
exactly. But
they're like, it's sandals guy.
It's a drunk sandals guy.
Oh my god, this could be a Saturday Night Live episode.
I'd rather not relive my embarrassing moments. I got sober for a reason. The
embarrassment.
Reactions though, embarrassment. I literally embarrassed myself sober. God damn, no, I'm kidding. I have no embarrassing thing. That's the worst thing about me. The idea that people having different reactions though is really trippy, and all the different body chemistry. But you do find that sour somper still though, enough people really like it.
Oh yeah, yep. It's weird. I mean, like, I'm not saying it's weird, but like, I get it, because like, I don't know. I just think that there's something just, I don't know, different about. Like I've grown a lot of other autos, and like some of them are good and stuff like that too. But it's, I don't know. I think I'm extremely picky, because like the buds just have to be like, people have to open that bag and just be like, yeah, the smell, the terps, like they want the whole thing. They don't want just some, like, because they can go to a dispensary and get a bag of shit, right? And they could probably do it cheaper, right? But like everything's hand trimmed, like it's, so I
technically, so
feel
is mine. That just means that it's not trimmed. But
right,
I mean, I
right.
guess if you actually do it, it's a selling point.
No, yeah, exactly. So, um, I don't know. To me, it's like just one of them that everybody just, they constantly ask about it. Like I always sell out. Like I have to like earmark, this much is for you and this much is for me, you know.
I was
But
just gonna ask because you hadn't mentioned whether you were consuming or not. I was just about to
oh
ask you.
yeah, like half of my grow is for me and like people in my house, and then the other half is for other people.
Okay,
Before
right.
we
So
continue, I meant to ask this about 20 minutes or maybe 45 minutes ago. We've touched lightly on your grow, but we haven't said how you grow exactly. Can we get a quick rundown? We said totes, but we haven't. Give a quick rundown of how you grow currently so we can backfill in that information.
I grow in Fox Farm Ocean Forest, and basically I use 14 to 18 gallon totes that you can basically buy at any store. Like I drill
Big box
holes in the
store.
bottom. Yeah, I try to get ones that are food grade safe. Like you can look it up, and on the bottom it'll say like a number if it's important to you. So I basically do that. I fill one bag of Fox Farm per tote, and then I'll top it with a seed starter or with like Happy Frog or just whatever, honestly, I can get. Sometimes I'll use like local seed starter. Like I am not picky. Like if I can source local, I will try to source local. Like I'll try to get my perlite local. I'll try to get as much stuff that I could go to Home Depot or to Lowe's or to whatever your big box store is, because like in the middle of the pandemic you may not have access to anything that you normally want to use, so you got to kind of be like a little more flexible in trying to get the things that you need to do your grows. But I do dry amendments. I'll do like what Dr. Down to Earth and Dr. What's the other one? It's like Power. It's a Flower Girl. It's like, I can't remember, but it's like a big brand. I'm trying to remember what it's called, but it's like a brand that like people use in their vegetable gardens and stuff. Like, so it's stuff that you could go to your local.
Dr. Beals.
It's Doctor. There's Down to Earth and Doctor something. I cannot off the top of my head remember, but it's like Flower Girl. It's like, they sell like tomato type tones and stuff like that. It's like a big brand that like, you could source locally if you're lucky, you know what I mean? But it's not something you'd have to go to like a hydro store or whatever to like pick this stuff up.
Local garden center is going to carry it.
Wait, isn't it just called Dr. Earth?
Yeah, there's Down to Earth and Dr. Earth. Yep, that's what it is. So I use Dr. Earth and Down to Earth. So I use the 444, and then I think it's like 384. I can't remember, but it's like they're just dry amendments. They have like all the typical bullshit in them that they have. But I use Dolomite Lime. I don't know. I keep it like as simple as possible, like just because people like to really complicate stuff, and I don't necessarily think that the plants actually benefit any more than they like what they like. You know what I mean? Like I could do like molasses teas. I could do a bunch of stuff like that, but I don't, because I just didn't see anything and that made me think like, oh, that makes it better. They're doing better than all that. And it's like, I just didn't see it in the output, I guess. So I just was like, I'm just going to keep it really simple. Like, that's easy.
Oh, yeah. If your system works, stick to it, right? Like, you'd be foolish to change it.
I've had some people switch over to it and then kind of have similar results to me. So I was like, okay, cool. Like this actually works, just not for me, but it also works for some other people too. And one of them grows photos using the same system. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. You know?
Oh yeah. That is awesome. I love the tote system. And you throw 2 in there most times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you already say that?
Yep. Yeah. I usually
you
plant
have
2
great
per
success
tote.
with that.
Well, you know, like I would say I have great success with it mostly, but like, you know, like this current grow is about a foot short. Like I stunted everything. I had like a cold snap and I was germinating. Well, I wasn't germinating. It was actually like right after I transplanted. And it's like, that's the one place that you can't fuck up, right? Is like right after you transplant, you can't fuck up. And so I was supplementing heat in there, but I'm trying to teach myself how to grow in a room versus a tent. And there's differences in how you try to dial it in. It is not the same. It is harder
big time
to get that room dialed in, right? And so this was my first beginning of winter in the room, and I was like, fuck. So I was like, dude, I was like putting shit up, trying to make my room smaller. Like I was like trying to do all this. I had a heater in there, and it was like, it was just not enough. Like I couldn't get above like 70 degrees. And I was like, I'm so fucked. Right. But I was like, you know what? I was looking at my plants and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let this cycle go through, let them take some of the nitrogen out of my totes, because I felt like I was a little nitrogen heavy on my last application. So I'm like, I'm just going to let these guys go through and eat. And then I'll chop them when they're ready, and then my totes will actually be probably in a better position for my next grow, right? So, you know, every grow, you're actually making notes for your future grow, right? Because it's like the condition that your plants are in this time are going to be directly related to what the condition of your plants are going to be next time. So if they're deficient in something this time, it's like that's your opportunity to fix that, to correct things. If there's too much of this or not enough of that, you know, every grow you kind of have to really pay attention, because it's not just right now, that your future is also depending on like how you're managing what your soil is doing. And so because I stunted everything, I was like, okay, I need to start some other plants, but wasn't sure what I was going to do. And what I decided to do was I'm not going to use any supplemental heat this time. And I started 2 plants about 2 weeks after the other ones. And the ones that had no supplemental heat did not stunt, right? So I was like, I mean, like they're in the cold, right? Like, and I'm like, one of them's like 3 feet right now, and it's like 40 days. And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking I'm getting this is like, okay, it is better not to use extra heat if you can't keep it stable.
Maintain, the fluctuations.
Yeah, the fluctuation just kills it.
Yep. Consistency is more important than a lot of people realize, because especially I've noticed in a lot of, I don't know if I'd say just beginners, I think, but when you get a new space and you're trying to mess with it and you try and like over swing it to where you're too perfect, you're trying to hold it within a couple degrees of perfection, and you just end up fucking fighting it, right? You get those swings and that start happening. That's way more detrimental than just being like, I'm going to give it the 5 degrees and just let it kind of exist in that area.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I learned a lot off of that, because I was thinking like, man, you know, this is kind of complicated if I can't ever get this room up to like the right temperature. Like, how many heaters am I going to use? And I feel uncomfortable about that. And you know what I mean? Like I have 15 hours. Yeah, I have 1500 watts. Like I have to use my 1500 watts wisely, right? Because it's like my goal is 6 pounds per grow, and I have 1500 watts. I need to figure out, like, if you cut something, you have to, you know, you want to add something, you got to take something out. You know what I mean? So I don't like blow my breaker or set my house on fire, or you know, like, you know, because when I first started growing, that shit happened. Who would do that? You know, like I had everything hooked up, and then you know, I'm fiddling with this switch in the ceiling, and I'm like, oh look, it's brown. Like that thing is burning.
Oh shit.
Right? And
Boost
so
wires.
like, Yeah. So I was like, man, I was like, dude, I almost burnt the house down, right? Like, if I hadn't been paying attention that was happening, what could have kept going on there? So it's like you learn little things as you go along, especially when you got old wiring or you don't know where everything's running. It can be really dangerous. And so it's like, that's why I make sure I have smoke alarms. I have fire extinguishers in my tents. Or in my room, I have those fireballs that explode if they get hot. Right, so there's certain thing, like I have the ones that you can throw, so it's like if there's a fire you can throw it and it's going to try to help extinguish it. So there's little things you can do even when you're trying to be like as safe as possible.
Suck if you have shitty aim. Just like, motherfucker,
right,
no.
knowing me, I'd be like, oh fuck, I totally missed through that. It's not a ghost, it's a fire.
Yeah, exactly. I have a quick question. Are either of you guys good at statistics? Because
No.
I'm just hoping that having a house fire related to growing isn't 100% across the population. Because right now we're sitting at a 2 out of 3, and I'm the only one who hasn't had any issue with electric. And I got to say, I'm feeling really unsure about the wiring in this apartment right now.
You just haven't gone far enough.
That's
you
exactly
gotta go
right.
deeper. That's why everybody else is
they
getting
don't
it.
want people growing in your apartment.
That's exactly
building.
right. No,
Yeah.
That's very true. And I wouldn't, of course.
Like, how do you get away with it?
No.
What do you mean?
Like growing in an apartment. I'm always like, how do you guys get away with it?
I couldn't tell you.
You're like, I have a really good little tent in a little closet, and no one knows.
No, I have a garage.
See, that's a lot easier.
It is. We looked for a specific location that had everything we wanted, and the biggest one was having to have a garage because we already knew that by virtue of where we live, it was going to be a small place, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't in good faith be like, hey, honey, I know you love me so much. I want to take this much of our very limited space and just put a black tent there. Is that okay? I know you don't like it because you have friends over all the time and shit, but I don't care. Like I didn't really want to start off, the new place with that kind of attitude because while I am larger than her, she is very mighty.
You're like, fuck the car. It doesn't need the garage.
I did win that one, I will say.
Yeah. You're like, would you have a clean car or weed to smoke?
Yeah. And that's even the funny thing. She doesn't consume, so she's just a saint in all of this.
Oh my God, an angel.
Yes. We still don't know what's quite wrong with her that's gotten her to stick around. In fact, we just had our anniversary because we forgot when the actual date was, so we got to pick. And I decided to do the Ides of March, so I could always forever say, beware the Ides of March, and mean it, because it saved my ass a few times. But yes.
So it's just March in general. Is it like any day in March? She's like, oh, you're lucky.
No, yeah. You know what? I love her to death, but she is worse with dates than I am on our related stuff. So I have to remind her that it's coming up generally.
So you're like the girl.
I do all the cooking, and I do have longer hair than her. So yes, I suppose so. You're the wife. Yeah. Now you know what? Now I'm gonna have to go see a therapist, so I'll be right back. I'm just kidding. No. It is. I'm very, very happy with doing the cooking. It gets me out of all the most of the cleaning. So
that's a good trade.
She's like a clean freak, so I ain't competing anyway. So I do the cooking and there's stuff that she doesn't want to, and I just enjoy the benefits of. Well, one of the benefits of dating someone who's very clean, psychotically clean. But this isn't about her. Before she doesn't listen anyway, so who gives a shit? But yeah, it is. So I'm glad that I have it in my garage, so I don't have to worry. But with inspections and shit like that, you just get creative.
We had our water heater went out one year, and I had a full deck. I had I don't know, so many plants, and they were at 70, 75 days. And no, it was the heater went out in the house, and I was like, fuck. And so I built I'm like, okay, I got to figure out how to hide this grow in the basement so he can go and look at this thing. So it's like I'm building fake walls and like piling garbage up on front of it. Like, and I'm like, this just gotta look like a really cluttered basement, like, you know. And then like another one of my friends came over and fixed it, and we didn't have to call anybody. And I was like, woo!
Hell yeah!
Oh, this worked for nothing.
Yeah,
it is a very big downside. You constantly have to be like thoughtful of it. Like we'll get, and we do the worst where they'll give you like, we're coming in at some point in this time frame, and the time frame's like a week. And you're like, motherfucker.
You're like, fuck.
Be considerate, you ass. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's you just, you know, got to do what you got to do to get the medicine.
Well, plus like, people will rob you. Like, that's the thing. Like, you know, people will, like, that was part of the problem that my buddy had trying to find anybody else that could like help him out with growing, was because everybody that he tried to help would like start just talking about it, and then they'd get robbed. Right. And he's like, you're a fucking dipshit. Like, why, you know, you're selling fucking $30 of weed, and then those kids come back and fucking break into your house. Like, you know, like people don't make smart decisions. And so it's kind of funny, but like I see people get broke into a lot. And so it's like, that's why I'm like, no, no.
Well, you know what's really funny is kind of related to that a little bit, is when the reason I first started and I started talking to Johnny, and this whole thing grew from that, was that Megan convinced me to, you know, go on to connect with people in the hobby, sort of push me in that way a little bit. But I was completely opposed to it, because I'm like, first of all, the rule is that you never tell anyone that you grow, ever, right? You never let anybody know, because they're just going to either want something from you or they're going to fucking rob you. And like you would never take pictures. That's asinine. Like, who would want the evidence on their phone, right? You wouldn't even carry your phone with you to go. Like, that's the way that I was forever. And it's
totally counterintuitive.
Yeah. And being in the state that I am, you know, now, like, it's just interesting being like, and I've always been in California, but still, I would never do that, because you could get into serious trouble for a lot of time when I was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so it is interesting weird. Now. It's super counterintuitive, like perfectly fine, absolutely legal, but it is still different. Sometimes I'll be like, oh shit, yeah, that's pretty dumb that I'm taking a picture of it. But
you know, I think about that too, and I'm like terrified that I'm gonna leave my phone somewhere unlocked. Like, they'll open it and look at my gallery, and it's just like, oh wow, where do you live? You know,
see, here's what I do is I take a picture. I take all my pictures in the morning, and then I just take all the pictures of Johnny shirtless. So my phone is just pictures of Johnny shirtless. So they get really confused, you know. I just bury it in that.
The first they're like, who is this man?
Like, this man is obsessed. And then they look at it and they're like, I kind of understand, you know.
Right. You're like, I'd stalk him too.
Especially this picture 75 of what looks like a 700 picture set.
Is that a third nipple? Interesting.
It's like more pictures than your dog.
Yeah. You know? That's very true. My dog sitting next to me is like, stop looking at that dude. No. But
we're at the part of the episode where I get to ask some very fun, interesting questions. Like, what is the first seed you ever planted, and why was it an apple seed?
An apple seed. You know, I don't think I've ever grown apples, so that's sort of, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know what the first seed it was, but I'm pretty, you know, honestly, it probably was an apple seed, because I ate apples as a kid, and I'm pretty freaking sure that I threw one of those seeds on the ground. So I think you're right. I think it was an apple seed.
I want a map of that conversation that started as apple seed. There was no way it was an apple seed. You know what? Now that you think about it, holy shit, it was an apple seed.
Well, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, it's got to be grapes or apples.
There you go. I like it. No, I love it. Johnny especially did.
It was beautiful. What's your favorite pie, and why is it apple pie?
It is apple pie. Like, I can't lie. God. Apple pie with ice cream is like the bomb. Like, what is a better pie than apple pie?
And is it a la mode or no?
Is a la mode like with the ice cream?
Ice cream.
Or without? Ice cream. Hot apple pie and ice cream is like Special,
No.
but no cheese. I don't dig the
Thank
people
you.
who eat it with cheese.
Thank you.
So you know it's a thing.
It
Well,
is a
that's
thing.
also weird.
See?
I'm very near the state of Wisconsin, so that cheese thing is real.
But that's unfair because they put cheese in literally everything.
They do.
Big Jur. Every time he takes a picture of his food, it's just cheese. I don't have the heart to tell him, but it is just cheese.
It's just cheese.
It's
But
just a
yes,
heart
it is.
attack waiting to happen.
Okay, so you have upstate New York and then the Wisconsin area are the two places, I guess, huh? That's obscene. Anywho,
No.
moving on.
It's umami, man. It's okay. It's good. Hypno. What is your favorite fruit and why is it apple?
Fruit? Is apple a fruit? Is that what you said?
No, what is
No.
your favorite fruit and why is it apple?
What is my favorite fruit and why is it apple? I'll just go with apple because it seems like a crowd pleaser. I don't know. I'm like a favorite fruit. Yeah, no, it's apple.
You don't have to. There's no
That's
crowd to please. I know you get.
I don't know.
apple.
I'm trying to think. Like, fuck, I don't know.
It is a tough question. I know often I'm kept up late at night.
Why can't apples be the answer to everything? Okay, like
A lot of
I think
reasons.
apples are the answer.
Because it inflates his ego, and quite frankly, the show can't handle it. The budget can't handle the white Saint frame sunglasses.
Bring back the apple fucking Skittle. Oh, do you know that the sour Skittles, the green one is still apple? They did not change that back to lime.
Are you a sour candy dude? I know the answer to that.
Yeah,
I know. Just shut up. Of course.
He's like, only if it's apples.
No, I know the answer to that. He will.
I was watching like old videos from like, I don't know, MTV from like 1985 or some shit, and they had a commercial for Apple Slice. Do you guys remember ever seeing that soda? It was like Apple Slice. It was like a little gold can. Yeah, I mean, like this was like back in like 1985 or some shit. I don't know if you guys was even born.
I was not.
I was, but not.
Johnny was. Johnny was 37.
He was 37 in 1985.
37. Yeah.
Apples do a body good, right? Like he looks good for like 6,800 years old.
That's not too bad.
Apple a day is what got me through Germany.
I thought most people use beer when they're in Germany to get by.
He wasn't legally allowed
when I
to
was
drink
in Germany,
by the
there was a whole country using apple.
You were using. Anywho, I think it was more an apple using a whole country personally, but we got two more questions that that I'm thrilled because of her indecisiveness on fruit. I can only imagine this going very well.
Oh God, if you walk into a pizza shop for the first time ever, brand new pizza shop, first time you ever go in there, you're just walking in on a fucking lunch break, you're just getting a slice. Are you going with the slice of pepperoni or a slice of cheese?
Oh, pepperoni.
Yes. Redemption.
Yeah. I could make cheese pizza at home. Come on.
Thank you.
No, that's literally like I go to a restaurant and I'm like, what can't I make? That's what I'm going to eat.
See, I'm so stuck in my ways, man. I go and I'm like, all right, I want to see how much better you can make this than me, or how much better I can make it than you. But I like what I like. I don't.
You want to go to eat a sandwich and be like, "This is shit. I'm better than you."
Yeah, it's all challenge. He's like, I eat here to eat for a challenge.
Well,
your food is garbage. I just wanted to come pay for that to tell you.
If I did it at home and didn't fucking like it, it was my loss. If I went and paid somebody to make me fucking like turtle soup and it fucking sucked, I'm gonna be like, you suck, man. Like, no, maybe.
Why would you be making turtle soup? First of all, I can't imagine turtle soup being good ever.
It seems sad. It's like turtle soup makes me sad.
No, just why you got to go turtle soup?
Turtle soup is her delicious.
Now, is snapping turtle invasive?
Yes.
I mean, like, what do they even taste like?
Well, then I guess if it's an invasive species, then all the world do it, man. The bullshit. Does turtles really taste like chicken?
It's like the Matrix turtle tastes like chicken.
I know alligator tastes similar to chicken.
Really didn't know what to make turtle taste like, so they just made it taste like chicken.
Yeah.
Now,
they're like, this is the go-to flavor. Everybody likes it. It's the most requested flavor. It's like, why is chicken the most requested flavor?
Because it's delicious.
Because chicken is
right.
fucking delicious, man.
Chicken is
Yardbird, call it what you want, man.
But what about
Same
apples?
line.
Apples is so much better.
Hey,
But I do have to
apple
say,
chicken,
apple
chicken.
chicken's awesome.
It is pretty goddamn good.
I
But
think so.
give me some pickles.
Orange chicken's better.
Dude, I love
Pickles, give me-
pickles too.
Pickles.
Have you tried pickles on pizza? It's actually good.
Fuck yes, dude. There's a pickle pizza. I got it the first time at a casino. There's like a white sauce they put down, and then the fucking mozzarella and pickles and ranch. And it's like, oh fuck, oh my god. And you get really
Yeah.
high and eat that shit. You will fucking
As if
love
being
yourself.
at a fucking
As if-
casino isn't miserable enough. They're gonna give you a fucking.
No, I
pizza
went to
with
see
pickles
Sublime with
on it?
Rome.
Okay.
I wasn't there to gamble. I went to see Sublime with Rome, man.
Oh.
Which is probably just as fucking bad. I hear it now coming out loud. Yeah.
I'm not gonna make any comment on that. You paid good money to see him. I bet you they put on a good show.
Who was it? Sublime?
Sublime with Rome. Yeah.
It depends on who. Anyhow, speaking of horrible tastes, because pickle pizza is kind of ruined. What about the sandwich, Johnny?
So Hypno, what is your favorite sandwich? What's your go-to fucking sandwich?
Sandwich.
Yep.
Man, I don't know. I don't eat a lot of sandwiches. But like if I go somewhere and it looks like they have a really good veggie sandwich, like with avocados and like, because I love salad, like, so like anything that's got like black olives and avocados and salad and stuff like that. Like, so sometimes it's like I don't need like meat or whatever on there. Like, I'm cool with like a really good veggie sandwich sometimes, like if I'm not making it.
Salad.
See, every time I have a veggie sandwich, I always want to add fucking bacon. Like, it just needs a little.
It is true. You're right.
I will say, yeah, there's always like, you know what would make this better? Meat.
yeah, there is always
that. If I finished
too.
the sandwich, I always do have that feeling like I should have finished the sandwich and I would have.
But like, do you ever like
sandwich.
eat pizza and are like, I really would like a salad with my pizza? It's weird.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
There's sometimes.
Yeah, it's like
just,
somehow that's a perfect combo.
Dude, I think it's weird too because I'm not like I'll never reach for salad first generally, but there will be times like random weeks where I'm like every meal I just want a goddamn salad. I'm just eating a shit ton of salad.
Yeah, macaroni salad. That's my fucking.
Fucking potato salad, macaroni salad,
The most unhealthy
salad. Yeah.
No,
mayonnaise
Is
salad.
it called salad anyway?
I fucking love Greek salad.
Fucking ambrosia salad.
It is good,
Greek salad?
except for ambrosia salad's not good.
Oh,
Is that
no,
the
it's
stuff with like
terrible.
mushrooms and grapes and walnuts?
No. Ambrosia
Is that-
salad is like that. It's like I think they do. Ambrosia salad is like that green Jello shit that they do. Like,
Oh yeah,
they put
with the
terrible
marshmallows.
cottage cheese
Yeah.
on top and shit.
Yeah, oh,
it's
yeah.
like your
whatever it is.
80-year-old aunt makes it
Yeah.
and brings it to
Yeah, yeah.
Thanksgiving. Here's the
Yeah.
ambrosia
Yeah.
salad. You know?
Very, very fucking big with Mormons and shit in Utah.
Go home.
So my
Yeah.
my dad's like fucking loves it because he's fucking family's Mormon and shit, and like we always make fun of him because he's like, can we have ambrosia salad? And everyone's like, no, of course we fucking can't. That's insane. Like, that's insanity. Like, no.
It's a
So
sin
gross.
to have the ambrosia salad.
It's a sin, goddammit. Put on your special underwear and go sit in the corner. Anywho, that was wonderful. We have a veggie sandwich, which I think BGG was also a veggie sandwich, right? Because by virtue of him being a vegetarian.
Oh wow!
So that's
I
at
used to
least
be a
two.
vegetarian, but not anymore.
I thought he said French dip.
Well, he's a vegetarian, so I
I
highly
know.
doubt that.
That would be weird.
I thought he said if I
Did we
did,
bully him?
if
We
I
made
did,
it.
would
Yeah.
be- Yeah, fuck
We
out.
probably bullied him into changing. In fact, you can from Yag's lips to your ears, BGG is no longer a vegetarian.
Wow. It's official. Like
It's official. Whether he
here,
chooses to
here it
acknowledge it or
first
not.
here.
Yeah, whether he acknowledges it or not, just know.
Good, maybe
he's
he'll
no
stop
longer a
being so
vegetarian.
terrible.
He will be stop being a monster and eat more meat.
Yeah.
Hypnogrow, do you have anything to plug? We appreciate all your time, and we'll have to have you back for the circle so you can I'll enjoy hanging out with those two bozos too.
No, I don't have anything to plug. I just had a really terrible week, so I was very stressed about doing this all week. But like I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna have fun and just see how it goes. And I'm really glad that I did, you know, taking
We're
those
glad you
risks.
did too.
Well, we really appreciate it.
This really isn't risky. It's just
Yeah, but
Two
I've never
idiots.
talked to anybody about this before. Like anybody.
Well,
Like
we appreciate it.
very few people know about it, like anything that I do, so it was like I was nervous about it.
Well, hopefully we didn't turn you off from doing it again. So
no, dude, I totally come back. This is
yeah.
is totally fun.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Johnny, do you have anything to plug?
As well. Of course not.
Oh, fantastic. Being that it's Sunday, I'll do my sermon real quick. I wanted to touch briefly on something Hypnogrow mentioned, kind of alluded to at least, was sharing knowledge. We at YAG very firmly stand in the party of let knowledge be free, right? So free the knowledge always. Don't be a dick, mind your own business, and go with Frog. Thanks, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for
having me.
And thanks for listening, everybody.
Peace out, bitches.